Hi, hello. Today I just wanted to talk a little bit about my thoughts on the new 3 Days Grace album, Alienation, that was released on August 22nd, 2015. It is now the 26th, so I've had a few days to listen to it, to kind of digest, to think about it as not just an album, but as individual songs, and also in 3 Days Grace's entire discography. So I just wanted to share a little bit of my opinions about that. One thing though is, I'm sorry if the lighting is like going in and out of this video. I am recording this on an iPhone 5. Yes, iPhone 5. So the quality is bound to be poor. I move around a lot when I'm talking. I'm standing up so I can communicate with y'all better. So, all right. So I just kind of want to get into it. I'll kind of give my first reactions. I don't typically listen to singles, and it's because a lot of times singles will release. This actually happened with Mayday, when that single released, but the singles will release and I'll be like, yeah, that's a song, but I won't really, it never has replay value for me. I never really like care about it that much. It's never like outstanding. I typically, I'll give it like one listen, sometimes no listens, but then in the context of the albums, I typically like the songs that were released as singles. I'm more of a big picture kind of guy. Just putting that out there. I'm not going to really make any comments about how I thought about the singles as singles. I'll just talk about them in the context of the whole album. First off, my first listen through, I was like, wow, that was good. It was very classic 3 Days Grace, and I see why a lot of older fans are really liking this album. People who kind of stopped listening when Adam left the group and Matt came in, saw that Adam was back and they were like, oh my gosh, I need to give this a listen. And a lot of them really, really enjoyed it. So I can understand why people are having that opinion. My expectations were low. Because I mentioned I never really vibe with the singles. I heard Mayday because I had seen them in concert. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I didn't even really, I might have casually listened to the others, but I did not listen to Kill Me Fast, which is important because I talk about that song a lot later. But I saw people who got to listen to the album actually before it dropped just because of like time zone stuff, and they were really, really enjoying it. A lot of people were saying it was like some of their top 3 Days Grace albums, like right below like Self-Titled and 1X, and I was like, wow, because Explosions did not have that kind of feedback. It wasn't really reciprocated super well within the fan base, myself included. There's a couple songs that I come back to, mostly honestly the single So Called Life, Neurotic, but it doesn't have a ton of replay value as an album as a whole. So people saying that, oh my gosh, this is the best album in X amount of years, it kind of conflicted with my own expectations, but I did go into it with that mindset of, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it as much as everyone else is, but, I still was very open-minded. I was surprised to hear both Matt and Adam trading lines and kind of integrating vocals and not just doing one person singing one verse, one sings the other, or one person sings a chorus like a traditional feature would be, or like a regular feature. That's kind of what I was expecting, and that's why I had a little bit of hesitation going into this album. I wasn't sure how it was going to work with two lead singers, especially two lead singers that have had such a presence on the band at different eras. Like, obviously, Adam controlled the entire first half of the discography, while Matt controlled the entire second half. So I wasn't sure if we were going to get some clashing sounds, or if it was just going to be a little bit lackluster, or if how well it was going to gel. I also had a feeling that Adam was going to kind of take the lead and we weren't going to hear much from Matt, but I was surprised that that wasn't the case, and it seemed like they really gelled together pretty well. So I'm going to get into kind of like a track-by-track review, and I'm going to go in order. So Dominate obviously was the first song. I think it was a great introduction. It's catchy. It's a traditional radio hit from 3 Days Grace. I don't really like the lyrics, we'll say. They're kind of corny. I also think the chorus is a bit grating, which I typically, the radio hits kind of give me that vibe. They're like kind of repetitive, or I don't like the style in which the chorus is like being. Riot is a great example of this. I kind of felt a little bit of that with this track. I did like the verses. The bass is so good underneath those verses. I'm not a huge fan on the lyric. There's nothing more dangerous than a man with something to prove and nothing to lose. It just, that sounds threatening. I get the sentiment. I do get the sentiment, but like, I don't know, maybe I'm too into the true crime headspace. Overall, not a bad song. I don't think there's a bad song on the album. I also think that 3 Days Grace has remained a band for me with absolutely no skips. The next song is Apologies. Again, with the catchy verse. I love how Adam and Matt trade lines in the verses. Again, something I wasn't totally expecting to hear. The chorus is nice, but the verses are better. And even if they kind of do have some of, I hate to say it, but like an Imagine Dragons cadence, this song has a great bridge, though. It's probably my favorite part of the entire song. Okay, now let's talk about Mayday. So Mayday is the most, and I say this with love, stereotypical 3 Days Grace riff / acoustic of all time. It starts off with that thunky bass and then adds those guitars over the same riff. Again, think of 3 Days Grace's most popular songs. It sounds like 4 other songs at once, but it just works for them. It works. They have a formula, and it works every single time because they are so good at catchy songs. And they are not, I mean, they do have some good lyrical songs, but their most popular songs are not because, oh my gosh, these guys are lyrical geniuses. They're just so catchy. Hearing both Matt and Adam on this traditional sound is so fun, especially for longtime fans. This is this album's like big stadium hit. Animal I Become, I Hate Everything About You, even Painkiller. It fits that very same formula. I don't like the They Never Say Mayday when I just think Matt's voice is a little bit bothersome and like kind of grating on that line. That's what kind of like turned me off about it through the first time I listened through, like while it was a single and when I saw it in concert. And that's why I think this song didn't hit home for me. Just again, in context of the album, it didn't bother me as much. Yeah, and I'm gonna try not to compare too much to like other songs and other like eras, other albums, but I feel like when you're, you know, looking at it as an entire picture of 3 Days Grace, especially having both vocalists, like I just can't avoid that. And I mentioned that I was gonna talk about Kill Me Fast, which is the next song on this track list. This was a single. I did not listen to it. I regret not listening to it because it was an instant favorite for me. The first time I heard it, I was like, oh my goodness. Hearing Adam sing the Kill Me Quick, Kill Me Fast, every single time he sings it in the song, it touches my soul. I also love Matt's vocals here too. This is one of the more lyrically sound songs. I am obsessed with them harmonizing with each other. I think it just sounds so good. Every time that it happens on this album, it's just amazing. Again, especially for those longtime fans, it kind of ties in, you know, both eras, I guess, the with Matt and with Adam. You don't see a ton of bands who have 2 lead singers, especially none with like this clear of a separation in sound and time. But this has just outdone my expectations because I really thought that this setup was not sustainable, and I mentioned before kind of what I was expecting. And the trading of the refrain at the end of this song is just, again, chills every time. Okay, so next is In Waves. This is another great song lyrically. I also love the guitar riff in the chorus. The bridge is also really, really nice in this song, but the standout part is the signature 3 Days Grace punchy walls of guitar in the chorus that just kind of explode out of the softer verses. Matt sounds so natural in this type of song. It really, really works for him. This song kind of reminded me of something that would be on Outsider with those like softer verses and then heavy hitting walls of sound choruses that are just so catchy. So Alienation, which is the title track, I didn't have strong feelings on this song one way or the other, but it really grew on me the more that I listened. This band is just masters of catchy choruses, as I've been mentioning. The riff in the verses is pretty heavy. It does have a corny lyric that kind of just stands out to me in a negative way, kind of takes me out of it, and that's the I put the I in isolation. Again, that kind of lyric is pretty standard for this group. Just look at I am an outsider. I don't care about the in crowd. Like, we are for you guys. I think that you can have ways of communicating, you know, feeling like an outsider in maybe some more creative lyrics, but that's okay. I'm not here to judge that album. Never Ordinary was another instant favorite of mine. Some of my favorite 3 Days Grace songs are the ones that kind of break their usual pattern. Some of my favorites are Expectations, Give Me a Reason, Last to Know, etc. But it's this song kind of, I want to categorize it as those other songs, but it still held on to that classic floaty guitar in the verses, and then that giant wall of sound from the guitars in the chorus that complements the vocals just so well. The melody is just so touching to me. There are some good lyrics, but I wish that they dug a little deeper into it. One of my favorite lyrics on the entire album is, "But why would you want to blend in when you're drenched in gold?" I wish that we could have gotten more of that, especially on a song of this nature. I loved to hear Matt over like Adam-like instrumentals. This song feels very Life Starts Now, even Transit, you know, obviously with the songs I mentioned before. Death Wish chorus feels like another radio hit, but I don't really have any strong opinions on this one. We'll probably be coming back to this one the least, this one and The Power. There's nothing super special about it to make it stand out. I do like the trading lines in the second verse, though, between Matt and Adam. It's a killer guitar solo, and I feel like we don't get to see that a lot from 3 Days Grace. And with this song, I really feel them trying to be heavier while still staying true to their sound. I know a lot of people said that this is their heaviest album, and I definitely see influences of that in songs like Death Wish. It did, again, with all the songs on this album, it really did grow on me the more that I listened to it. It is still a catchy song. It's not a skip for me, but it's just one that has the least replay value. Don't Want to Go Home Tonight is a good, softer song. It reminds me of my best friend, and it reminds my best friend of me, so I like it more than I normally would. Same thing happened to us with Lifetime off Explosions, for the same exact reason, because I love my best friend. But the chorus did grow on me after more listens. I love how they echo each other in this song. Lyrically, it low-key makes me think of Photograph or Those Days by Nickelback, with love, full love. I don't really have anything else to say about this song. So, In Cold Blood is pretty heavy for 3 Days Grace. It made me want to stomp, and I don't typically ever feel that with this band, but especially that bridge. That might be the heaviest thing we've ever heard from 3 Days Grace. I love hearing both Matt and Adam's influence on this album, specifically this song, but I also really like how it seems that Barry on guitar had more freedom with some of the riffs and solos on this album. So The Power is a solid track, but I'm not a huge fan of the chorus. Again, we see that classic verse over the funky bass, which is so good every time they do it. This might be the best bridge off the album, though. Lyrics are something that probably everyone can relate to in some way or another in this song, and I think that's the strongest part. Great harmonies in the last 30 seconds. So Another Relapse is exactly the type of song that I was expecting from Adam's influence. I am not a huge fan of Matt's contribution to the chorus, but the control Adam has over his vocals is outstanding. Even if you don't struggle with addiction, these lyrics can be applied to so many different situations, which is the beauty of songs like this, and songs like my favorite 3 Days Grace song, Over and Over, off 1X. So I think it was a great end to the album. Alright, so all in all, I really enjoyed the structure of this album. I liked Dominate as a great opener. The Here We Fucking Go and the swells in the intro, followed by Adam's kind of powerful but quiet, creeping delivery of the verse is so good. The softer songs, radio hits, and the outliers in this project were all spaced out perfectly, so you don't have a run of songs that all kind of sound the same. And I loved hearing them experiment with some heavier sounds while still sounding like that traditional 3 Days Grace. I think the fact that we can pull from so many other albums and draw comparisons goes to show that this is a great culmination of all 3 Days Grace has to offer. And as much as I would love to keep getting standout albums like this from them, I would also be okay with this being a final project. So getting both Matt and Adam to do an insanely well-received album that has all these great qualities would be a fantastic way to wrap up the life and legacy of 3 Days Grace. Obviously, I wasn't really sure how having two lead vocalists would work out. I was skeptical. And obviously, we only see the finished product, so who knows if it really is sustainable, but what we did not get was a lifeless, pointless project. So all in all, I think the fans are happy, I'm happy, this exceeded my expectations, and I couldn't be happier.